All right, we're going to kick it off. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Military and Veterans in Tech Alumni Identity Talk, brought to you by the College of IST Offices of Career Solutions and Corporate Engagement, Inclusion and Diversity Engagement, and Development and Alumni Relations, and the World Campus Office of Development and Alumni Relations. My name is Matthew Peterson. I'm a senior studying Information Science and Technology, and I will be one of your moderators today. I am also a veteran, having served in the Marines 4 years until 2017 as a sergeant before attending Penn State. We're pleased to have you join us for this session as part of Penn State's Military Appreciation Week, and thank you to our panelists and any guests for their service. We will begin our program in a few moments. Charles.
Hello, I'm Charles Hickey, co-moderator for today's session. I'm a senior studying security and risk analysis and also currently a gunnery sergeant in the Marine Corps. I'd like to mention that we are recording today's session. Now let's meet the panelists. First, we have Daniel Battisto, 2018 graduate of World Campus and currently information security engineer for Workday Inc. Next, we have Juliana Coleman, a 2018 graduate of IST, currently serving as a C-130 Juliet pilot in the United States Air Force. Also on our panel today is Michael Payne, 2020 World Campus grad and data leakage prevention US team leader for UBS. Finally, we have Lance Corporal Nian Trong, 2021 World Campus grad and IST security analyst for Underwriter Labs. Welcome everyone, and thank you for being part of such an amazing panel. Kim is adding our panelists' LinkedIn profiles to the chat now for anyone interested in connecting with them. If you could each share a little bit more about yourself, and then we'll start with some questions. Daniel, we'll start with you.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm originally from the Philadelphia area. I joined the Air Force right out of high school. I got my start as a physical security specialist and kind of got that taste for security. Throughout my 7-year Air Force career, I bumped around to a couple different IT-related jobs. Ultimately, I decided to get out of the military at that 7 years. I was able to use my GI Bill to attend Penn State for my undergrad. Recently, I started my master's program, still using the GI Bill benefits. And now I'm a security engineer for Workday, where I specialize in vulnerability management. Thank you.
Juliana.
Hey guys, yeah, my name is Juliana Coleman. I'm originally also from near the Philly area. I'm from Reading, Pennsylvania. Started Penn State in 2014, joined ROTC my freshman year. I was pretty sure I wanted to do the military. I wasn't positive, and then through ROTC definitely fell in love with it. I studied security and risk analysis, minored in military studies. Graduated in 2018, and then I went down to Mississippi for pilot training. I was there for about 1.5 years. Did some follow-on training for the C-130 in Little Rock, and then I just got to my first operational base back in April. So I'm at DIAS, which is in Abilene, Texas. It's about 2 hours west of Dallas-Fort Worth. So yeah, I've been here for about 6-7 months. Just kind of starting getting operational, which has been pretty fun. So mostly just local flying, doing training for like all of our tactical stuff, like flying formation, low levels and dirt landings and stuff like that. And then a couple times a month, we do trips, mostly in the Western part of the world. So we do a lot of Greenland, South America runs for a cargo and moving people around and joint exercises in those areas. So I have a husband, his name's Sean. I met him at Penn State, and he's also a C-130 pilot stationed here with me. So thanks.
Michael?
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Certainly a pleasure to be here, and thank you, Penn State World Campus, for inviting me. I would like to say thank you to everybody out there for your service and the sacrifices you give. Real pleasure, and happy birthday to the Marines out there as we just celebrated our 246th birthday. I'm a 2020 security and risk analysis with the information and cybersecurity option through World Campus. It was not my career in the Marine Corps. I was originally an M1A1 tank crewman and served in tanks, artillery, and infantry battalions all the way through senior ranks. Finally ended up at a general officer headquarters where a lot of my mentors have helped shape my decisions. I chose the information and cybersecurity option because of my true love for the field and all things technology and mathematics, and I look forward to talking with everybody today.
Nian?
Hi everyone. My name is Nian Trung, or Lance Corporal Trung. So I had 2 years in college, and then I enlisted in the Marine Corps in 2019. Went to the schoolhouse for I'm a power generator mechanics. So I went to the courthouse bay in Camp Lejeune. I got out in February 2020, like the beginning of the pandemic. So everything closed down. I couldn't find a job, so I went to Penn State World Campus. I major in IST, and I'm now working as a IT security analyst for Underwriters Lab. What I do is to help the vendors meet the government's requirements for their cryptography products. And nice to meet everyone. Thank you all, and what an incredible accomplishments you have had to date. Just some quick housekeeping notes. If you have questions for the panelists, please share them in the Q&A. We'll be checking that regularly, and we'll do our best to answer all of your questions. Now for the first question. What was your biggest obstacle or challenge that you faced in your time as a student at Penn State? Nihan, we'll throw it right back to you. Yeah, you know, like as a reservist, when I got like straight out of the schoolhouse, my only military experience was all the training in the schoolhouse, you know, like not like years of practical experience in the fleet yet. And I was barely a brand new student at Penn State World Campus. And at the time, everything closed down. Small business closed down, big companies not hiring. So it was definitely a tough time to, you know, get a job, because, and also a job is a requirement to graduate, and your degree is also a requirement for a job. So it was kind of like a dilemma right there. So that was my difficulty when I was a student. Would any of the other panelists like to share their experiences as a student?
Yeah, this is Daniel. I'd be happy to.
Maybe just to add something is a lot of the vet.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, I can speak to this. I had a lot of problems with time management. Time management was my biggest issue. After I had gotten out of the military, I had some college credits from both my Air Force education and from some university classes I was taking while enlisted. Getting out of the military, I immediately took a full-time job, and I was also trying to take between 2 and 3 Penn State classes on top of a full-time job. on top of also trying to be like 25 or 26-year-old, have a social life, have a girlfriend, a fiance. So there's a lot of pressures. The biggest obstacle for me was, the time management of these classes, how to be successful in my career while taking the classes. And what I found most helpful was reaching out to the professors directly right at the beginning of these courses and explaining my situation, not to make excuses for any kind of poor performance or for, kind of preempting any missed assignments or anything like that, but just to kind of introduce myself on that kind of personal basis and make that connection. So if something did come up or I needed some extra attention or extra help on something, they had already known my situation. They didn't think I was just trying to make excuses or anything like that. But I am grateful for the experience the Air Force taught me about time management. I think that's the only way I've survived up to this point. So thank you.
Michael, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head, especially veteran students maybe tend to be a little older and managing a full-time job and life responsibilities and helping manage your time, meeting your educational requirements is probably the most difficult thing to get aligned right away.
Yeah, just real quick, adding on to that, kind of the almost like the flip side of that, when you're straight out of high school and you're going to college, a lot of people, want to have like a really fun college experience. And if you do ROTC, you can totally do that. Like I had a really great time at Penn State, but it can be difficult, when you have like other groups of friends that are not in ROTC. Like I rode on the equestrian team, and that was one social part of my life, but they would like, go out during the weekday, and I couldn't really necessarily do that because we would have stuff early in the mornings during the week. So I would say time management there with just making sure that like you have your priorities aligned, and trying to have some vision farther than the next 3 or 4 years of college. Definitely have fun and have a good time, but like understand that your performance those 4 years during ROTC is going to directly reflect what career you get to start out with. So if you have big goals and aspirations to do certain things, you need to sacrifice a little bit during college, more so than your non-military friends, to be able to set yourself up on a good path to achieve those goals.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next question. So who are some of your role models or inspirations in technology or in your specific field or in your branch in the military? And why would you consider them your role models? Juliana, we'll start with you.
Yeah, sweet. So role models specifically when I was at school would definitely be a couple of cadre members they were like the leadership of the detachment. So Colonel McFeely, which I know he does a lot of stuff with veteran stuff with Penn State, and Lieutenant Colonel Sabora, those two, they just stick out in my mind. Just like their leadership style has really stuck with me. They really cared about, they made everyone feel like they really cared about them and they really fought for them. Like I specifically, I'm super short. I was too short to technically qualify to be a pilot, but they fought to get me a height waiver for like close to 3 years. So that has kind of stuck with me. They've been really great role models. I've been trying to kind of emulate their leadership style as I move forward in my career.
We'll go to Michael next.
Yeah, sure. There's a lot of role models of mine that I've had in the military and outside of it. The unique opportunities that you have to meet people across the broad spectrum of not only diverse backgrounds, but educational experiences. A couple of people really stand out to me. Colonel Jeff Hammond, really good friend of mine, amazing role model, always believed in continuing to learn, and really helped me develop a continued learning style and a deeper interest in technology. My last boss, General Day, also a forward-thinking technology professional that really gave me a lot of insights and ways to think about how the industry works and how you navigate the technology field upon graduation. So just a couple of people there, and that's not even to mention some of the people at the university or some friends, but really critical in kind of helping develop the way you think and find those people and take their advice.
Nian?
Yeah, so one of my role model in the military was my supervisor at the time, my gunnery sergeant. You know, like he has a busy life, you know, like PT in the morning with the platoon, and he teaches like our class at the schoolhouse until like 4 or 5 p.m. and he has like a family, but he still managed to do like full-time online education. So I kind of figure, you know, if my gunnery sergeant was active duty and he can go to school like full-time and balance all the time management and everything as a reservist, I would definitely have you know, plenty of time and more time and energy resources to complete my degree. So that was my inspiration. Thank you.
And Daniel?
Yeah, thank you. Nian, I first have to compliment all those plants behind you. That's such a great background. Sorry. I've been fortunate enough to have a couple great mentors throughout my career. I've kind of jumped around. I really haven't had a single focus for a career. I went from physical security to more of like general IT services type stuff. And now I am more into the information security engineering. I've just been fortunate enough to find mentors and people that I look up to and people who, you know, share the same values that I do at each point in my life. The first one I'll mention really quick, since everybody else was one of my first master sergeants when I was at Andrews Air Force Base. Just an incredible mentor, incredible leader, looked out for all of us. He did not hesitate to give us a hard time when we weren't performing up to the level that we needed to, or something was out of order. But it was always out of a place of love. It was always out of a place of looking out for what's best for us and our team. And those are the qualities that I've tried to emulate as a leader and a mentor. Thank you.
Thank you. So for the next question, how would you talk about the value of diverse identities within the workplace and within your specific area of the tech industry? Daniel, please go ahead and start.
Yeah, sure. Would you be able to come back to me at the end? I need a second to think about that one.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you.
Another panelist like to start? I think I can start this. At my workplace, you know, IT security analyst at UL, I was the only Marine reservist, and we have 2 other National Guard personnel working at a place. And I do think, you know, like us veterans, we do stand out in the terms of accountability and time management compared to many other people. And generally, the companies are very, very accommodative of our drill weekends. And we usually, like, the strength that we bring to the workforce is we get things done in a timely manner. In reality, they are very tolerant of the delay and how projects don't complete like on time, or they're like silly mistakes that can totally be avoidable. So we don't have those kind of problems. That's one thing I think I can contribute to. Thank you.
I think maybe I can add on to that because it's a really important concept of the diverse identities. And is the melting pot of each unit, and understanding all of the diverse cultural backgrounds, educational backgrounds, life experience backgrounds, whether that's in your work environment or your school group or the military, the value that adds in different ways of thinking. So critically important to completely analyze a situation and have those different ways of thinking and somebody from a different perspective. And the value that adds is really just a quality solution that allows fundamental different ways of thinking about the problem and coming together as a team. And that's the important part, whether it's at work or school, coming together as a team and evaluating everybody's different perspective to find the right solution. Because if we all think the same, we all come from the exact same place, there's certainly gaps that can happen in the way we process the information and how we see the world. So one of the most critically important things, and been really fortunate in my career, is to really work around a bunch of diverse group of people, and it's really been a pleasure.
Dan, are you ready?
Yeah, I feel like I don't really have to add too much to that. I think they've pretty much nailed it. When you're trying to solve a problem or design a product, having a team full of diverse identities coming from all kinds of diverse backgrounds, they may have different experiences either through life or through their professional experience that's going to add value to what you're trying to do. I really have nothing more to add. That was basically the perfect answer, guys. Thank you.
Okay, we can do the next question, Charles.
Okay. So what were or are resources that you found helpful at Penn State while in school, in the community, within the military, and within your employer? Michael, we'll go ahead and start with you.
Great, thanks for the question. The resources that I found helpful, we'll just go at them in the order you gave them. At Penn State, what a great organization. The resources there, probably, I hate to rank them, so I won't, but the professors at Penn State are top notch. They go the extra mile to help you. A couple really stick out to me. Whitney Zimmerman, Fred Fonseca, Catherine Hamilton, like those professors went the extra mile. Any question you ask, and anybody that knows me knows I have a lot of questions, took the extra time of the day. And any professor I ever reached to for any question or way of thinking, they would call me at night, 7, 8 o'clock at night. They would Zoom with me, talk about the problem, try to understand my point of view. So, the faculty at Penn State, top notch. You probably couldn't ask for better. And counselor Cheryl Miller, amazing individual that helped navigate my educational goals, helped me make sure I was on track, pointed me in the right direction through the veterans programs and how to get questions and answers. So, at Penn State, I think the resources you have are almost unlimited, and the staff is there to support you. So I really enjoyed that. With work and my employer, really unique opportunities you have to garner some experience and insight, even if you don't work in necessarily the technology field, because down the road there's your comm shop or your SIC shop or your cyber people, and they're more than happy to spend hours with you talking about almost any question you can bring from an IST class. You want to talk about networking, you want to talk about routers and switches, they'll let you get your hands dirty. So that's such a unique opportunity, and in a very welcoming environment. And also within the community, as you reach out, I was one of Penn State's RSA security scholars and had the unique opportunity to go to San Francisco and meet with a lot of members of the community, and just really an outreach that people have when you express interest and you work hard. So I think you combine all of those things and you put them together, just equals success.
Juliana?
Yeah, sweet. So specifically at Penn State, if you're in ROTC, the cadre members is kind of an obvious answer, but generally the cadre members, it's like at least their second or third assignment. So they've got several years of experience. So specifically for like career advice with them, even if they were not in your career field, they almost definitely have a friend, some sort of connection in the career field you're interested in. So that's like a really, really easy way to get into contact with somebody that is in your desired career field. And then also at Penn State, like mental health stuff, CAPS is a program that I don't know how much they advertised. I didn't know too much about it when I was there until somebody like recommended it to me. And I took advantage of it. It's just like a free counseling, psychological like counseling service. It's free and it's anonymous. And it's not like, I feel like when people hear like free counseling, they picture like a student that is like practicing how to give therapy, and like it's not like that at all. Like it's actually like paid professionals. So that was like a really, really awesome resource that Penn State offered that I recommend anyone checking out. And then just real quick, if you're a big reader, ever looking into trying to find good reads for professional development, most senior leadership across all the military have like a website, and on their website they have a reading list. So they'll compile a reading list of like 10, 15 books for professional development that they have read and they recommend reading. So I feel like that's always a good spot, a good resource to go to if you're looking for good reading material.
Daniel, would you like to share?
Yeah, certainly. Great shout out for mental health, Juliana. That's kind of where I wanted to start my discussion, but you nailed it there. One of the most helpful resources for me when I was in the military, now as a civilian professional, and basically all throughout my life, was having access to people who I was able to talk to about not just professional development and professional growth, but just going somewhere with some issues or some concerns I may have with personal or professional life. That was always very helpful to have those people in my life, whether they were medical or just mentors. The other resource I wanted to talk about really quick was my first employer I had before the Air Force. I worked in a deli and butcher shop outside of Philadelphia, and I'm still very close with my bosses there because they taught me all of the necessary life skills for how to have a job, how to talk to customers, how to treat customers, how to do all the little tasks to run a business. And I think that has made me a much better, not just an employee, but also a better mentor and leader, because now I kind of understand how to treat people, how people want to be treated. And finally, as far as Penn State, I did World Campus. So one of the things that attracted me to World Campus, as opposed to some other online offerings from other universities, and I apologize, I don't have any names because I don't remember them, it was a couple of years ago, but the staff that basically led me through the application process and worked with me throughout applying for classes, trying to get some of my Air Force credits applied towards my degree, all extremely helpful. I felt like everybody was on my side, which is one of the things why I always speak highly of World Campus and the IST program.
Dan, go ahead and share.
Yeah, I have some extra thing to share here. Just kind of like piggybacking everybody was saying. So I was in a situation where I kind of like applied for hundreds of jobs, and I received like no feedbacks, no callback or emails, anything whatsoever. So what I did was to go to the career center, and I kind of like book a session with a staff member from Penn State Career Center, and you know, I spent like an hour trying to discuss with them. They have resources for you. They would talk to you and see what could be a good fit, what you should do, something you need to work on, your resume and everything. Definitely check that out. Or if you are like, if you are taking classes and you feel like that class is your favorite, something you want to do, go to office hour, like book an hour with the professor and ask them like, professor, I like this class and I would like to get a job in this field. Where do I start, and what do I do next? What certificate or anything I should do, resume? They will be happy to help you out. Everybody started in college anyway, so they should know how to get you in the door. Yeah, those are great resources from Penn State. They are very knowledgeable. So that's what I'd like to share. Thank you. Thank you. I'll add on to that before the next question. Shameless plug. The Student Veterans Org at University Park definitely helped me through my transition as well, connecting me with other student veterans to kind of get their perspectives. We also have the Student Veterans Center on campus. It's in Rittenhour building. They just renovated it. It's brand new. It's a really nice lounge. You can go in there and relax. And normally get a table, unlike kind of like going through the safari of the library sometimes, searching for minutes on end. And then the third one is we also offer the first year veterans seminar. So everybody has to take a freshman seminar class, but we can take the veterans seminar as well. It's kind of like an extended version of TRS. That's how I would describe it. But definitely works on resume building and stuff as a freshman, which is important, especially in IST, because you need to get that internship done. Okay, so we have a question from the chat. And it was, what do you see as the most pressing challenge in undergraduate science and mathematics education today? We can start this one with Michael.
Okay. Maybe from my perspective, a pressing challenge is probably different from maybe the professor or the university perspective, which, they're truly experts in understanding the educational challenges or pressing issues within it. But I tell you from my experience in teaching computer science lab or tutoring in math or physics is presenting the material in a way that keeps people interested and excited about it. And it's really easy to turn somebody off to the concept when, ax to the by plus, 4 integrals later, and it just becomes a very algorithmic process of rote memorization to try to get through it. And for me, it was always trying to help them understand how it ties into everything else, and see the real world experiences, and that can really turn the light on to somebody who might look at math or physics or computer sciences as a hurdle or a stepping stone that they have a hard time putting their foot on in their educational career because they see it that way. And so I always found it very challenging to get people I tutored or to see it in a different way, to see the joy of mathematics and the joy of the physical sciences, and apply it to everything they see. I think that's the biggest challenge from my perspective.
Yeah, I can just kind of follow up with that too. Like, I don't have a lot of experience like tutoring people or anything like that. So, but what you were saying, I think is super important, specifically when it comes to the military. I mean, the last like 20 years of wars that we've been fighting have been like pretty simple when it comes to technology. There's just not really been a ton of like higher level stuff going on. And we're really transitioning more to a near peer or peer fight in the next, 10 to 20 years, or probably even closer than that. So having professionals in the technology field, especially in the military, is increasingly, that's like really, really important as we're moving forward. Like the Space Force specifically, the Space Force is going to be pretty much like cutting edge, like how we fight the next couple of wars. So I don't necessarily know how to get more people interested in stuff like that, but I just know that, that's going to be a really, really important thing in the next couple of years.
Well, from my experience as somebody who was in the military and then was working as, who was a student and continued to work through all of that, the one thing I've noticed about a career that IST sets you up for within like information technology or information security is that it's constantly changing. This isn't meant to scare anybody away from a career field like this, because I love it. Like this, I guess it's kind of sad to say this, but this is my life. Like I really enjoy this stuff, but it's constantly changing. So this isn't something that, you can go to school for, and where something is relatively static for, it's been proven, like some concepts of mathematics, some things are never going to change. But with stuff that you're learning in IST, it's going to be a constant evolution. Things are going to be changing. Attackers are going to be improving the way in which they attack, which means that the defenders need to improve the way in which they defend. So I think the challenge is how to keep curriculums in universities, and this is even something that like certifications, industry certification struggle with, is how do you keep everything current, especially with a curriculum where it has to go through probably a change board, it has to get approved. Things change so quickly. So just trying to keep your program up to date with everything is what I think is one of the biggest challenges.
Okay, we'll switch to the next question. How can we be more supportive to those students who are veterans, active military, or ROTC? Juliana, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so I don't have a ton of stuff to add here, because I personally felt like when I was at Penn State, I was incredibly supported, obviously by all the ROTC cadre members, and then specifically my professors. It was already kind of talked about earlier, but communicating with your professors is incredibly important. And I just felt like at the beginning of every semester, I introduced myself, got to know them, and they were always incredibly helpful and supportive when something would be coming up with ROTC that was like a really busy time during the semester, something really stressful. They would be really accommodating. So I guess keep that up. I think that was something really great while I was there. And then now that I'm not at Penn State anymore, I would say any excuse to go back to Penn State is a great way to support alum. So I know, like with the blue and white game, the ROTC attachment does alumni career fair every year for that. So that's always a really great excuse to go back for a football game.
I'll just maybe add on to that, Juliana. I agree. I don't know if Penn State could do much more than they already do. I mean, they're so amazing between the programs and the professors and their outreach, just top-notch program. So thanks to everybody for that.
I guess the only thing I can really add to those is, simply ask if you are a faculty member, a staff member, or maybe somebody who doesn't have any military connection. Just kind of be respectful and ask. A lot of people like to put veterans, and I guess most groups of people, they like to put veterans into this one big group where they think that every veteran is the same, every veteran wants to be treated the same. That's not always the case. So what I suggest is just simply, asking, different things about their service if they are interested in answering that. But just to assume that my experience is the same as Michael's experience is the same as Juliana's experience. I'm sure we all have very, very different, between the Marines, a pilot, and then somebody who flew a desk for 7 years, our experiences are probably much, much different than one another's.
We'll move on to the next question. How have past internships helped you with future opportunities? What advice do you have for students who are looking for an internship? Or do you have any helpful tips for networking? Nin, I think you have the most recent experience with this, so we'll start with you.
Right. Yeah. So again, I was trying to find jobs in a time of the pandemic, and there were nothing opening again, and I didn't have like a lot of like experience to begin with. So how I actually got to find a job was because of two things. The first thing was business communication, and secondly, networking, right? And so I realized you need to learn how to speak the business language. Like if you're trying to find a job in a corporate or in civilian companies, you need to learn how to speak their language. Like just like how you go to boot camp and you have to learn the military terminology. You need to learn the language. So how do you do that? If you're an IST student like me, very good chances are you need to take English 202D. Some people may not like it because it's a lot of writing, but I recommend like taking it like as soon as you can. You will learn how to write resume or cover letter, but the most important thing is how to communicate your skill set, what you have learned in the military, your past jobs, and you turn all of that into some wordings and some communication that the employers can actually understand, right? And so secondly, networking. I was trying to find like websites, career, and apply on it, but I got no replies. So I found out a platform that worked for me was LinkedIn. But how do we do networking like effectively? I would say if we're under the pressure of finding a job, then the recruiters are, also under the pressure of finding out a candidate for the positions, right? So they are very active on LinkedIn. They will search everywhere for a candidate. So you need to put yourself out there. Again, with a good looking resume, something when they read, they will understand and want to speak to you. And you need to try to speak to the recruiters like directly. That way you will skip all the computer AI scanning your resume and everything. Try to find more recruiters. Your friends who recently got a job, very good chances are that friend is still connected to his or her recruiter, trying to find that. And that's how I landed my recent job. I had no internship whatsoever. So if you think you are in a bad spot, you actually find you don't need like 7 years of experience or anything. Thank you.
Daniel, would you like to share next?
Yeah, Nian figured it out perfectly. You need to play the game. You need to, talk the talk and walk the walk. And what I mean by that is, when you're in the Air Force, for example, and we had this the evaluation system for enlisted members like myself, we had EPRs, completely unreadable to anybody outside of the Air Force or the military. Just a jumble of acronyms, words. You had to make sure it fit the line completely, like no white space. Just an absolute nightmare. If you copy and paste that into your resume, which I've seen as somebody who's been on the other side of the table trying to hire candidates, it's not going to work. So as Nian said, you need to really figure out how to translate your military experience and put that into something that your employers will understand. Another thing that I have noticed on that note was, we've had try and get an understanding of who you're applying to. So the corporate culture. If you're applying for a company that I used to work for, where everybody wore suits and ties every day, I came to that interview in a suit and tie. My most recent job with Workday, it's more of a startup culture where it's much more casual, much more relaxed. One thing I did ask the recruiter was about the company culture, trying to understand what they were like. And when I did my interview with them, I made sure to just wear like a nice pair of chinos and a flannel shirt or something casual. Because if you go in there overdressed, or if you come in there and overpresent or something like that, it may not be a great fit. So it's really all about doing that research and making sure you know what you're getting yourself into.
Juliana?
So I personally didn't do an internship while I was at Penn State. My internship requirement was fulfilled by doing ROTC. So I don't necessarily have a ton to say on this, but I would recommend any IST students that are doing ROTC. If you want to do an internship, that's really great. You can get some really cool experience doing that. But if you are feeling like you're really trying to put everything you've got into ROTC, working with your advisors, you should be able to kind of I had to do a report and everything about kind of how ROTC was an internship. But I mean, generally it accomplishes the same thing where it's career experience and stuff like that. So that's I would just have that to offer, I guess.
Michael, you have anything to add?
Yeah, just maybe one thing to add is this is the military and veterans group or panel. Look to the companies and see if they have a veterans organization within it, and reach out to that person. Every single company I've done that with, they're very responsive. They put you in touch with the right people, and that's such a valuable resource. Is you're looking to get your foot in the door, or even discuss whether you want to do an internship with them or what their needs are. And those veterans communities within organizations are really, really helpful to help you understand everything that the rest of the panel talked about, and then get your paperwork in front of somebody that can make a decision.
Thank you. All right, we'll go to the last question. What is the most important thing you have learned throughout your career and personal journey thus far? We can start with, let's go Dan.
That is a loaded question. There's so many lessons I've learned over the past 15 years of out of high school. I think the most valuable one overall is to really look after yourself. Listen to your body, listen to your mind, make sure that you aren't overworking yourself. Make sure you have enough, make sure you have a life outside of work. Make sure you have a life outside of the military. I know some of the Marines probably don't believe in that philosophy, but really look after yourself. I've seen people who burn out, especially within the IST careers, It is a lot depending on who you work for, where you work for. I've worked in the White House twice. I've worked for various DoD programs. I definitely understand the burnout. My first year after spending 3 years at the White House, I got out of the military and I took a year working a job that required no after hours, no on call, no weekend assemblies, or not assemblies, briefings with commanders, just to kind of really center myself and prepare myself for this next chapter of my life. Yeah, look after yourself. Don't be afraid to reach out to people when you need assistance. No shame in asking for help.
So for me personally, I assume it's the same with in like the civilian workplace, but I know specifically for the military, luck and timing plays a huge part into career progression. And it can be really, really frustrating. I know specifically with the military, they really love doing the back and forth thing where they have too many people, so they cut like 50% of the military, and then in 3 years they're like, oh, we like need a bunch of people. So then it's just really easy to get certain career fields. So I would say working through that, mentally, you need to be able to stay engaged and understand that you can only control certain things. So you need to work hard and put yourself in the best situation that you possibly can, so that when good opportunities come along, you are at the top of the list to be selected for it. And if the timing does not work out, that doesn't mean that it won't happen in the next couple of years. And also there's lots of career opportunities that you don't know about right now. So even though you might have a goal to go do this thing in 3 or 4 years, in the interim 3 or 4 years, you might find 3 or 4 other career paths open up that you had no idea about. So just not getting frustrated when doors seem to close that are like completely out of your control, and just continuing to work hard to put yourself in the best situation you can, to be able to take advantage of opportunities when they do come along.
So I have one more thing to share here. When you apply for jobs, right? One thing I have learned is that opportunities are not always available. So when you apply out there and nobody's calling you back, don't get discouraged. For me, the first time I got out and applied to everything, nobody really reached back out to me until like a year later, because when you put yourself out there in the loop, and they don't have anything, they wouldn't hire you. But when something comes up and your name is in the system, your resume is on file, you be the first one they reach out to when they have something open. So if you don't see anything yet, don't get discouraged. A year later, it's like every other week I got a phone call like, hey, are you working? We saw your resume from last year and I don't know if you're still interested. So just do your homework, go online, go to veteran like staffing agencies or anywhere, push your name out there. But again, it goes back to the importance of a professional looking resume, right? If you want to stay in the loop, you want to stay in a loop with a professional looking resume, not with something you go, if you want to know how to do it right, you just gotta learn, like I said earlier, learn the language of business by taking English to a 2D business writing. If that's something in your curriculum, take it as early as you can. Yeah.
I think if I had to answer what's the most important thing I've learned throughout my career and personal journey is be deliberate in what you do, make your own luck, and work hard.
Thank you for those. At this time, if any of the panelists have any additional thoughts or closing comments they'd like to make, now would be that time.
I could jump in real quick. I think that this panel would have probably served 25-year-old me when I was first getting ready to leave the military a lot of good. I think all of the panelists, I think everybody shared something that I definitely would have loved to hear. Nian, especially what you were saying about trying to get that first job, that's been my experience too. That first job out of the military, even though I did have the security clearance, even though I did have the White House on my resume, the first job was the hardest one to get, just because I feel some companies may be skeptical of, despite their flashy banners and their logos and all of their advertisement materials, I think some companies may be hesitant to hire veterans right out of the military because it's their first job. After I got that first job and I was persistent, it's been smooth sailing since. Michael, you had some really great points. Juliana, thank you so much for telling me about the height waiver. I did not know that was a real thing, and I'm very glad I now know that. But thank you to everybody for sharing everything. This has been truly enlightening.
I think the last thing I would say is take your curriculum seriously. I will say as I work in the field, I never get caught off guard in a discussion because the curriculum, the SRA and IST curriculum really provides a very broad introduction to a lot of things, and every single one of those things, and you might not think like, I will never see an entity diagram again. Like, why am I doing database normalization? Yeah, read the tech docs of your routers or what your backup storage and see how important that is to understand. Almost every single piece, the risk, I talk risk almost every day, and how we rate risk and how do we evaluate risk. And then you take all of your technology classes and add that up, and the more you can gain insight, as Nian said, you'll understand the language and you'll understand the concepts, and you might not know how to implement it yet, but you won't get caught off guard. So really pay attention to your curriculum. It's really well done. So thank you very much for inviting me, and it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, one thing I would like to add to what Michael just said, yeah, do take your curriculum like seriously. So there might be like a lot of readings and not as much practical application as you want to, because like how in the military, like bracket, we learn like hands-on, but at Penn State, there's a lot of readings, and please do read, because in reality, as a bachelor degree holder, you are expected to be a problem solver. Like, you need to know the fundamentals from the textbook in order to come up with a solution like on the spot. Sometimes muscle memory or hands-on, you just can never have enough. You need to learn how to think, right? And reading is the way to do. And also, if you're an IST major, every course will have group collaboration. At some point, it may not be the most favorite thing to do, but in reality, I do group collaboration like every day. You talk to clients, you work with a teammate, except you are stuck with them for years, not like one semester, right? So you need to learn how to bond with people and utilize your military leadership and make the most out of group collaboration. That thing is really important in reality. And at Penn State, every course we get to teamwork. Take that seriously too. Show up, stay on top of things, and be I guess like try to like team working a little bit more, even though it's hard. But really, in reality, it's very rare to work alone. Yeah, and again, like Michael said, please take the curriculum seriously.
Thank you, Deanne.
Mhm.
All right. Thank you all for participating, and thank you for all of our panelists who have paved the way for us. I would also like to thank World Campus for partnering with us today. Please look for information on future identity talks on the IST website and to view past recorded sessions. Have a great day, everyone.